Hi. And we are back with episode 3. 3. My God. It's been a journey. A hell of a journey so far.
My name is Sabrina,
My name is Katarina.
and we are live with our beautiful music in the background. I have the Sacred Forest Oracle deck. Dennis Lynn. I love her. You know her?
I
So
use cards.
we're going to pick a card,
Topic.
the topic of the day.
Right. Yeah.
Courage.
Oh, wow. So many layers to this.
So many layers to courage. And there's a castle, and there's butterflies, and yellow foliage, a leaf foliage.
It reminds me of fall a lot.
It does. It also looks like Germany or something dark.
Germany.
I don't know, something courage, like or Transylvania. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Courage. Aspen spirit. I mean, we need courage for this journey, right? Like
Number 3, I find that interesting. That is number 3.
3 is the Empress in the tarot.
Mm.
It's all about creativity,
Holy Trinity.
expression,
Having courage to actually
nurturing,
but having courage to actually collaborate
to
with
wake
people.
up in the morning.
Well, yeah, there's that too. For me, for some reason, courage, number 3, it reminds me a lot of like having courage to actually collaborate, to let go of your old wounds, to let go of these old patterns, to enter into your true self, but also letting go. For some reason, partnership. For me, partnership has been a big theme. So
Of moving into partnerships,
yeah,
releasing partnerships,
but just
alliances.
having courage to get vulnerable and actually communicate with people. We have a tendency, for me anyways, I've had a tendency to like, because I've been wounded, because I've had a lot of codependent issues, I've been people pleasing, like these have been very big things. So for me, when it comes to new people and wanting to interact with new people, it actually takes me courage to be like, it's okay, you're discerning, you've learned how to discern, you've learned how to actually see who's in it for your good best interest and who isn't for your
It's
best
interesting
interest.
you bring the Trinity, because I see the castle. So you think home and the mother, father, child, the Trinity, right? And then you see all these butterflies that freedom to fly out of the house. And then you have the foliage here, which is the comfort of home, right? There's the changing of the seasons as well. Like every season, it's also like this, a lot of people who feel comfortable at home, feel comfortable in their relationship, feel comfortable in their friendship. But I've been friends with them for 25 years.
Yes.
I've been going out with him or her for 4 years, 5 years, 25, 30. So I'm not gonna, I don't like it, but I'm gonna stay in it.
So the
Right?
courage
It's
to
the courage to leave.
the courage
And
to,
that's a big thing.
to fly out of the home, to actually expand and enter your real life and your truth. Doesn't mean that you're going to let them go forever, but it's like have that courage to be like, we're not in the same page anymore, even if we know each other for so long. The courage to almost level up. It's the word that is kept
also it's an alignment thing. It's like level up, exactly. And there's a lot of leveling up and leveling down, leveling the same, and we tend to ignore that. We ignore that,
the red flags,
the
signs,
like we almost have to step outside of the castle, right? Step outside of the home and look inside the relationship. And like when you're objective about it, it's easier to be like, sometimes I like, if you take yourself outside of your relationship and you're like, well, would you date this person? Would you remain with this person? Right? And then you're like, no. Right? So why are you doing it? Because of societal norms, because you're afraid. It's a fear, because what are my parents going to think? What is my family? But I've been married. Well, we spent $100,000 on our wedding, so we can't, like it's all this like blah blah. What is it? What's the blah blah?
It's basically not necessarily the distractions,
like,
but it's also the storylines,
stories,
telling ourselves of how things should be instead of how it really is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was told that I was supposed to get married at this age and have kids, and I'm supposed to stay. And that's not to say there's not a beauty in facing certain challenges with certain people, but if these people don't want to actually face these challenges and level up with you, then you have to hold yourself back and you have to level down. And trust me, that's never comfortable. And usually life will get you in a place of uncomfortness so unbearable that you will have no choice but to let go. Or it's going to happen for you. It's going to happen in a way that, the person ends up cheating on you or ends up dumping you if we're talking about relationships. But if it's meant to happen, it's going to happen. So are you going to do it with your own free will? Free will. I know that's
divine will.
Yeah, whatever. That's fine. How do you call these quotation marks? Because I mean, there's a whole other story. Is there really like free will to a certain extent? Yes. But are you going to do it by following your path, or are you going to have the energies around you push you into the path if you feel unready? It's the courage to go, even if you do feel unready, and on the same time, courage to go, especially when you feel ready to be like, no, I want to level up. Let's do it. And there's going to be backlash, and the backlash is what hurts.
Always sometimes. The backlash. And it's like the butterflies, I love it, because it's like, basically, do you want to stay in the cocoon or do you want to cut, like, because the cocoon is comfortable, but it's like comfortable. It's not comfortable. If we know about the butterfly in the cocoon, the caterpillar, it's very uncomfortable, right? Until he's like flourishes into this beautiful butterfly.
Actually turns into mush. The butterfly turns into mush. It like completely deteriorates its old image and attachments of self, and then it grows and expands. And did you know that you can't help a cocoon get out of its cocoon?
Yeah, you can't take
you can't open it for the butterfly, or else they die. Because the whole purpose, the whole purpose is that they push out, so the wings actually have strength to start flying. And if you open it up for them, they can't fly out. They actually die. So the whole purpose is for them to burst out of their cocoon, so they get the strength. So the the discomfort is creating the strength they need to propel out and like fly. Use their wings to actually get out of the old and into the new life, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can look back at all my relationships. She can look back at all her relationships, whether they're romantic, whether they were friends, whether it was family, whatever it is. There's so much of us as humans that remained in that cocoon, right? We did and we had the courage. When you wake up, I have the courage today. I am going to talk to them. And then you go up and you talk to them, and then you're like jelly, like, oh, well, maybe you want to people please, and the whole like shebang, and we're not honoring our soul, because it's like
compromise.
The ego wants you to stay in the cocoon
because it's fairy that wants to keep you safe.
It's like safe and secure, right? It's like the survivor fight or flight. It doesn't want you flying; it wants you fighting. And your soul is like, dude, are you for real? Like, you need to fly. We need to fly right now. And it's like, and that's where we're at. And that's okay, like wherever you're at right now. But if this is something that comes to you, it's a message that's coming to you right now because you feel like you're a little stuck in your relationship, whatever relationship it is. Like, it's time to reassess. Like, really, like, step out. I really think it's like that observer mode. That is the key to all of this. Because if you can step outside and look at it, like, would you want your friend to be dealing with this person? Every
time you say that, I always think of a client. You know how we have our clients and then we have the observer, and we're like talking to our clients and like, well, you know what you would say to a client if if you see what's keeping them stuck. But then when it comes to ourselves, then there's like, that little fear or doubts that come out, resistance that comes up. So can you step away from your identity, because it's really your identity that's trying to keep you in that same place, because it's keeping you safe, quotation marks again, for all those just listening. But can you become the observer of your own life to then make the decisions that your soul really wants? It's almost like taking away the interference again by becoming the observer.
And the excuses.
Yeah.
Or the interference.
Exactly.
Like I have children. Well, I've already invested 20 years. I've only invested
20,000, 100,000.
And it's like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's this part of the movie. So, okay, you invested that much time. It doesn't matter. Like, how do you want to move forward, right? Why are we in the present moment? How are you feeling right now? That's the thing. It's not because we don't leave because, in the past, oh my God, we had such a great time here. We did this. And then your girlfriends and your boyfriends and all your people are going to come together and like, remember he did this for you and she did this. And they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to stay. No, man. This is like the moment where you have to, like, right now at this very moment, how am I feeling in this relationship? Like, where is it? Like, how, like, I don't know. It's like really looking at your, like listening to your intuition, like truly listening to the soul. And you know that your ego, like a lot of people know if you listen to me on other channels, your ego is always like the one that tells you you're an idiot. No, you have to stay. It's the fear. It's like, oh my God, no, you're dumb. Why you can't leave? And your soul is very neutral. Your soul does not tell you what to do. Never. Your soul doesn't like direct you. Doesn't tell you you're a loser. Doesn't tell you you're beautiful either. Your soul is yes, no, neutral. It really is. You ask your soul something, and it's like, yep, that's it. Plain same. Like very simple, right?
Yeah. Well, I would actually add to that, like, instead of, you don't have to make a decision right away, but do look at those stories that come up when there is a decision to make, to remove the interference. So if you're sitting with yourself and you're like, I don't know what to do, and then you have these thoughts that come up and they're like, oh, you're an idiot, look at everything you have. That's the storyline you want to pay attention to. Why is it so important for me to stay? Because this person is doing this for me. Why is it so important for me to not move forward because of money, right? So to security. Just the observer, that's what it is really, is you sitting with yourself and paying attention to what comes up and then asking the question, but why is this important? Why is the storyline coming up? What is the emotion behind that storyline that the story is protecting me from taking the leap or flying free or becoming my true self? Or for me, it has been a big deal in terms of compromising. I've noticed that I would compromise my truth, my beingness, because I realized that I was afraid of what people thought about me. Or I'm trying to come up with another example of compromise where I would choose not to do something because
of how your parents did it, or how I was like other people
that, and or I would be afraid of disappointing somebody, right? So it's like, but why is it so important for me not to disappoint that person? Because my self-worth was based on how they felt about me. So this is like deep introspection of like, can I still feel worthy even if I disappoint that person, right? Can I still love myself if I decide to disappoint these people or this thing or this place, or let go of something I've held on to for 10, 20, 50, 30 years, whether it's a business or a friendship or anything? Can I actually love myself even if I disappoint myself, or even if I disappoint that person, right? So this is where the real work comes into place, and the courage, the real courage comes into place, where it's like, can I still love myself? Can I have the courage to love myself if I disappoint this person, or if I disappoint myself? Sometimes we're disappointing ourselves because we've held on to this thing for so long, and then we have to face our own pain of letting go.
And it's not always about, like, very good point. It's not always about, like, you could be in a relationship that's not a bad relationship, by the way. It could even be very like surface, very great. It could also be happy. And there's a moment you wake up one day and you're like, or it's not one moment that you wake up, but you finally realize, oh, this is just not working. Like, why am I staying here? Like, why am I like I'm betraying myself first by staying, and then the excuses come out and whatever. But it's true what you said. It's like when you love yourself fully and completely, which is the work that we're doing, by the way. When you truly love yourself, you'll know that you won't compromise yourself, your soul, your ego, anything. You won't compromise yourself to stay in something just because of other external factors.
To uphold the story.
The story. It's all about a story. Wow, it's really interesting.
It's very powerful. And courage, actually.
Courage is like definitely needed. Courage, man. Courage is needed not only for this relationships. Courage is needed every single day. Like, I was just driving home today, and I was like stopped in traffic, and I was facing a roller coaster. We have an amusement park in Montreal, and I was like looking at it, and I'm like up and down, up and down, up and down. I was like, yo, that's how I feel sometimes. Sometimes I feel like I'm on a high. I feel so like spiritually evolved. And then like the higher self is like, ha ha ha, no, you're not. And then poof, we go back down, right? And it's like, yeah.
Take time for another lesson. Woo!
And at that moment, you need the courage to come back up again.
Yeah.
Right? So like, yeah, but it's like a constant roller coaster, this ride that we're on. Yeah. And it's like, there's no straight line. Absolutely not. There's no straight line.
No, 100%. 100%.
And I think it's the best. Like, we're in a maze, we're in a labyrinth. Like, this is the work. And it's the courage to be you.
Yeah.
Can you like stand by your words? Can you stand by your actions? Can you stand by your truth? Like, in quotations, can you stand by you? This is who you are. Like, we lose our life. We lose so much of our life going with the mainstream, going with the stream. We're not here to do the stream.
Well, some are.
Yeah. But some of you are listening to us.
The ones listening to us, the ones
you're here to
right now, you're not here to follow the mainstream, 100%. Yeah. And I absolutely agree. Like, the courage to be yourself and the courage to love. And sometimes that courage is about sacrifice. Maybe you have a kid, and part of your courage is to sacrifice some of your time for this being that is dependent on you too. There's like all kinds of different courages, but does it feel right to you at this very moment? And you'll know. You'll know. Just because you're sacrificing your time for this little being doesn't mean you're going to sacrifice your beingness, your truth for this child either. It's we're the like, there's certain things that we're here to learn. And I do believe sacrifice is one of them. And diplomacy is another, right? There's many different lessons, and we're all here to learn them. And all of it takes courage to do it. But the number one is staying true to yourself, which I do believe is the hardest.
It is, because so who is yourself, though, right?
Yeah. And that's too, exactly. Yeah. It's like, exactly.
It's like your identity, like Katarina and Sabrina, we're just avatars.
Yeah, right? Which like, I love this avatar, which I didn't. I self-loathed her for a very long time. I'm still
like on the fence with her, but that's okay. I love her anyways. But like,
we're learning to love.
We're learning to love. But it's like, it's true. It's like, it's you get to a certain point where you're like, you realize that Sabrina and Katarina are in this movie, and like, it's having the courage to see Sabrina and Katarina as a separate but the same, as like, I don't even explain myself.
Yeah, as a character in the movie.
As a character in the movie.
And objectively.
And I'm the director. My soul is the director saying, okay, dude, like, can you separate yourself? And you'll see that why don't you have, like, Sabrina could just have fun. Sabrina just got a invoice of $2,500 from her freaking accountant. Just laugh about it, Sabrina. Why do you have to like be so sad about it? Just laugh about it. So that was my like, and it is.
But it's okay to be sad too. There's nothing wrong with being sad.
Like,
but it's to have the courage to laugh about it after too.
Yeah.
It's not to stay in the sadness. We're not here to stay in any kind of. We're not even here to stay in joy forever. No. We're not here to stay in happiness forever. On the contrary, we're a multidimensional being, and we're here to feel all the spectrums.
Yeah. We're also here moving towards the 0 point. The 0 point is neutrality.
Yeah.
We're like everyone thinks so. The bipolarity is like, they always like focus on the negative and the anger and the guilt and the manipulation, and they're like, the happiness and the joy, and that is like, it's like both.
You need both.
You need both.
Anyway. I got duped into that too. I thought it was happy, but that's because I was miserable in my life. So it's like happy, but then you don't actually feel the purity of the sadness or the purity of the anger because you're focusing. Again, you're not present in that emotional state, so you can't see the beauty or the gift that sadness could bring. Sadness brings you such a pure sense of peace if you really, really are in that sadness. It's a melancholy that you're not supposed to stay in forever also, right? That we attach ourselves to identify as, I'm someone who's sad, I'm someone who's angry.
Because like we said yesterday, we were talking about I am. We're not I ams. We're not I ams of emotions.
No, it's true.
Or not even I am Sabrina. And that's like, and it's okay. And it's just to see the fun of it. That's why like attaching, have fun, stop attaching. And also I wanted to bring up courage as far as courage of communication.
Interesting.
Courage, like communicating, like that's in a relationship.
Communicating your truth, you mean?
In a relationship or a business partnership or whatever you are, like keeping quiet is like the detriment of anything, right? Because you need to talk about things, like bring up, hey, honey, or hey, partner, or hey, friend, or whatever it is, like business or colleague. I don't feel right about this project, or I don't I'm uncomfortable with like you cleaning all around me every time I sit down. Like it's talking about things.
Voicing
like,
your needs.
We need to do that. That's transparency. That's like important. And that's where we kind of like let things go and then fester, and it's a whole big thing. Yeah, you know about what I'm talking about, anyways, guys.
Courage to speak up, 100%. Yeah. Speak up your truth, or at least speak up your needs. We were talking about this also yesterday too. The last podcast was about speaking up your needs.
Mm-hmm.
We were giving the example that I was telling a story about a dream. And then Sabrina mentioned like, death and rebirth. And I was like,
shut the fuck up.
I know what it is. But at that moment, I hadn't actually voiced my need to Sabrina. I just need you to listen right now. I just need to let this off my chest. And I feel like that's one of the biggest, not necessarily problem. I don't want to say problem, but the biggest challenge is that we don't even know what our needs are. Because as I was saying the story, I didn't even realize that was a need until she mentioned that. And then I exploded. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's like, can we be more observant, have courage to look at, hey, yes, I'm a mother, but do I have needs right now that it isn't being fulfilled? And is there a way I could communicate those needs? Right. So that too is a very big courage, because a lot of times they have this idea that it's self-sacrificing all the time. Mm-hmm. It's not true. It's what we created. It's not true. I'm here to tell you that everything is a balance. Everything should be a balance, because you're actually teaching, by doing that, you're teaching your child that it and she or he
mother or father
has to sacrifice their beingness, which then just becomes a vicious cycle, right? That needs to break, that eventually the next generation is going to need to break it. So might as well break it now, have the courage to break those cycles so the next don't have to, right? And that's just one example, but
there's so many. Yeah. Just the courage to be you, like courage to be like, because you know what it is? It's like,
and to love.
What like, when I look back at my relationships, and I'm like, what, like I was pretty honest, but maybe sometimes I wasn't, because I was just like, I don't want to deal with it, right? I don't want to talk to him. He's gonna like just like take it out of proportion. I just want to deal with it, right? So I take it in. I kept it in, and then blow up time, right? Like, where is this coming from? Most men can attest to that. Like, I don't understand. Where did this come from her? But it's because we kept it in. And it's not only a woman-man thing, but females like to keep things in. But anyways.
A lot more,
Yeah. We keep the peace. Keep the peace.
Keep the peace. That's a big one.
That's so, BS now if I look at it, because what were we were just like prolonging the inevitable, right? Because it's just like, what are you keeping the peace from? Like eventually it's going to come out at one point. So just be you. Just be you. And from the start of every relationship, from the start of every friendship, from the start of your work, your new job, hey, I am transparent. I'm not going to pretend so that no, like, what are we doing? Why are we pretending?
Yeah.
This is where I feel like humanity has kind of lost its like mojo. What are we pretending? Stop pretending. We're not.
The masks we keep putting, the
Yes.
next layers of mask, but we're removing them.
We're removing them. So
every person that's removing their
and
mask,
bravo for your courage, and bravo for your bravery, and bravo for removing your mask, and bravo for everything,
sitting
guys,
in your
because this is a lot.
Yeah,
sitting and doing the work, and opening yourself up to your friends, your partners, for everybody. That's just a lot. It's a lot of work, people.
Even if you, even when you get the what's that word I'm looking for?
Whiplash.
Yeah, because sometimes some people are not ready to hear it, and this is part of the process too, to read the room and to know who you can voice at what times, because everybody's going through their own stuff too, right? So it's in just start with yourself though. Start with yourself. Can you hold space for yourself and listen to yourself and hear what's coming up and question those parts of you of like, oh, why am I really doing this? Am I doing this for myself, or am I doing this because there's an image that I'm trying to uphold or mask that I'm trying to
100.
uphold, right? If you're able to do that for yourself, everything else will become obvious. Everybody else's masks will become obvious and you'll know. And you doing it for yourself, you removing your masks automatically sends out the ripple for others to do the same. And you don't even have to
lead by example, like a hermit. That's what we're all doing, by the way. If you like resonate with the starseed, the light work, whatever, we're not here to preach anything. We're here to lead by example. 100%. So because we're all on our own levels and our own frequencies and our own paths. So just do you. That's what it is. Fall in love with you.
Yes.
Your avatar.
Can we?
And please do. Do not like see your avatar as separate from your soul, even though it is, but see it as
it's not.
It's a unified thing. That's what we did. That's what I did, anyways. On the beginning of my spiritual journey, I was like, oh, my body. I'm a soul. I'm a higher self. I am God. Whatever. But I forgot.
I got in the trap.
I got in the trap. I was like, oh, my body is like whatever, right? And no, man. Gotta love our bodies. Everything that comes with it, even the ego and love your ego, by the way. This is such a trigger to me. Like,
really?
Yeah. Well, not a trigger, but I can, like, when I listen to channels and they're like, the ego is like evil.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
your
ego is you, man.
My ego
it's the human experience.
It's the ultimate, it's your most trusted friend, because it's the one that wants to protect you the most. It's going to deliberately create all these stories so you do not feel the feelings that you've been avoiding for so long. Once you realize that, if you become friends with your ego and your ego is that the inner child that wants to be seen and heard.
You can shut him up every once in a while, but like I'm like, you're not allowed to be here sometimes, but if you're aware of it.
If you're aware and you actually communicate with it and say like, okay, ego, there's something that you're afraid of. Let's go. Let's get it out of here. Give yourself 5 minutes, 10 minutes to sit with that uncomfortness, because the ego, that's what it is, just uncomfortable. And if you sit in stillness in that uncomfortable feeling or storytelling, there's something magical that's going to come out of it, because you're saying that you're in control. The ego's not in control anymore, because the ego's not going to even let you, or he or she, doesn't matter. It's not going to let you sit still. It's going to get you to get up, make that coffee, go for a walk, do a workout. Just sitting in stillness is super uncomfortable, because it's not used to having and being seen, and it's not used to being heard by ourselves. So just sitting with it will completely change probably your perspective of the ego, what it is. And just saying, how I talk to my ego, I say like, it's okay. It's okay if you're afraid. It's okay if you're sad. It's okay if you're angry right now. We'll be sad and angry together. We'll feel it out as much as we can. Love it.
I'm like, I don't like love my ego all the time. I'm like, sometimes it comes in and it's like trying to make me feel bad. And I'm like, You know where you need to go. You go, and I open the door to the black hole, and you need to go in there. And I made my ego a little bit small so that it's afraid to come in sometimes, and I could feel it. I'm like, you're there. I'm gonna throw you in the black hole again. Okay, no. And it's almost like a funny thing. It's funny to me. My life, and she knows it. A lot of my interaction with my higher self is humorous. It's funny. Like I feel all my guides around me, like laughing at me, with me, laughing at me, whatever, and I'm laughing at them because to me it's all about like having fun, right? I mean,
yeah.
But there's moments where I'm fully dark, fully in the dark hole of life, and it's okay. And I'm not having fun then. This is all about this journey. It's like that's why it's a roller coaster ride, a little bit. It's fully falling in love with you. I really feel like that's what it is.
Yeah. That's the biggest lesson. I'm convinced more and more that there's two things that we're here to learn. That's loving the self, loving ourselves. I feel like everything that's going on around us collectively, the corruption is due that not enough people love themselves.
Yeah.
I'm like
1,000.
I am almost 100% convinced of that. Number two, we're here to learn how to trust. Yeah. So you can't learn how to trust if you don't truly love yourself completely.
Trust the process, like Sabrina always says. Trust. It's a 1,000%. If you trust the little voice in your head that says, don't do anything. But yeah, love the ego, love the self, love the body, love the emotions, love the higher self, love it all. Because we're here to have an earthly experience. And the earthly experience requires my avatar, which is my body, and it requires my ego so that maybe I won't throw myself in the middle of a street, and it requires everything. So let's just enjoy it. But it's really like learning each part, learning each of them separately or together. I don't know, like
loving each part,
but learning about them too.
Units. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, 100%, and having the courage to do so.
Courage. Oh my God, you're annoying.
Courage to love self. For those listening, I'm like, Sabrina's annoyed that
by this like
camera,
like nauseous this card being shoved into the screen.
The card, Sabrina. That's all I'm doing.
I know. Okay, there you go.
There you go. Okay. So having the courage to do that, to love yourself, listen to yourself, to voice yourself, to express yourself. That's the hardest one, I find. For me, it was a big one.
Communication, expression.
Yeah.
But that's like a part of the journey.
It's
which
part of the
we're
journey.
Going to talk about for the next.
Welcome to the journey.
Welcome to the journey.
I am happy you have joined us
in
this journey because it's a lonely one.
It's a very lonely one, by the way. Especially if you're beginning the journey and everyone around you is like doesn't understand you at all.
Doing this,
you're not alone.
Not participating
at all.
Yeah,
it like literally you're not alone because there's a lot of people, like a lot of energy around you that is helping you that you don't see.
Yeah,
and there's all of us too. So
welcome,
and soon we're gonna And if you want to ask questions, leave comment in the comments. Go ahead, so we can bring it up in the next podcast. That would be great.
Yeah,
let's get interactive a little bit. We'll do some lives eventually. And
yes, there's a lot.
There's a lot of projects. We're gonna go skydiving. We're gonna do all the things.
So skydiving, I love it. We should. There's a lot of things coming on, but we definitely would love to have your input and your questions. And if there's anything that you want more information or clarification and you think we could help, just
dump it in the comments.
Yeah, 100%.
We'd love to see that. All right, so that's it for today. This was awesome. Okay,
welcome to the journey, Katarina,
Sabrina. Love you.
And we'll talk to you guys very, very soon.
Bye.